Hey everybody, and welcome back to Mr. Smith's YouTube channel. Today we're going to be moving forward. Last set of videos were about orthographic drawings, and then we actually we drew a title block together in the next video. So we're going to be taking that title block now and actually using it to create an orthographic drawing. All right, so this is our first drawing, so I am not going to be looking for extreme precision. It's more of a completion grade. We are also not going, we're going to use scale, but not use scale to a super accurate measure, right? So this is still about identifying the correct views and being able to translate those views onto a title block. So that's the focus of this video. All right, so let's just jump right into it. So today we are going to be doing a bracket drawing. All right, and you can see it now in the top right of the screen. I'm going to pull it up bigger here in a minute and talk about it. But we're going to take that bracket drawing and turn it into an orthographic drawing by the end of this video. All right. So first things first, some of y'all may already have a title block because you created several of them last week. If you haven't, then you need to take the time now to create a title block. Again, every drawing that we do will be on a title block. All right, so be sure to use the template that's on It's Learning. There's a photo and there's also the video from last week. All right, so I'm going to quickly draw my title block. Oh, well, I did not have good pressure on my ruler there. I'm going to quickly draw my title block. Touch that up with an eraser in a minute. So that way, so I'm not explaining what I'm doing because there's a whole video and you're supposed to create a template for yourself to work off of. All right, so this first section was 2.5. So I'm going to take my ruler, measure out 2.5 and mark it. All right, then it was 4. Take my ruler and mark it. Then it was 2.5. Mark it. Then you should be left with 4. All right. So I just quickly drew that. All right, so for this video, and actually let me shrink. Let me shrink this down. There we go. All right, so for this video, depending on what class you're in, depends on what goes in this first block. So this will be manufacturing or construction. If you were in construction, make sure you put that here. All right, and also put your period. All right, so for instance, let's say that I'm A2, manufacturing A2. All right, remember, use all caps because we use lettering in engineering because we want those to be legible. All right, the title of this is Ortho Bracket Drawing. All caps, make sure you're using all caps because that's appropriate lettering. All right, then your name, first and last, please, you know, first and last name. All right, and then for now, we're going to leave the scale blank. All right, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be completing an orthographic drawing of this bracket. So let me go ahead and pull that up for you so you can see. So if you take a look at this bracket, all right, we're going to be creating a top, front, and side view using the dimensions that we are given. All right, so the first thing I want us to do is to actually break our paper into 4 areas. When you go to do an orthographic later, we're not going to do this, but because it's our first one, I want it to be very clear where the separations are. All right, so what I did is I measured across, and it should be 10 inches if you've drawn your title block correctly, and I marked the 5-inch mark down the middle. All right, so I'm just splitting the page here. All right, so that's it, 5 inches in either side. All right, so now I need to measure top and bottom, and I see that it's 7 inches. Half of 7 inches is 3.5. So I'm going to go in here And I'm going to mark 3.5, and then I'm going to draw it all the way across. All right, so at this point, we have our top view is going to go here. Again, guys, you normally won't write this, but because this is our first drawing, you know, we're doing a little extra just so we remember. So top, front, and side. And then up here, you're going to have your isometric view. Isometric. All right, we are not doing the isometric. When we go to learn to draw 3D views, we're going to come back and fill this in. All right, so we're going to hang on to this and come back and fill it in. All right, so at this point, we're ready to pick one of our views. So just to remind you, when we talk about top, front, and side, top is if you're standing on top looking down. Front is if you're in this corner looking at it. And side is if you're standing here looking at it. All right, so I always like to start with the side view because then from the side, we can actually, I like to start with the side because then from the side, we can help ourselves get the front, and then from the front, we can work on the top because they're gonna kind of line up with each other. So let's take a look at this side view. And one thing I like to do before I start is sometimes I like to pull up paint, all right, or maybe a separate sheet of paper, and I like to draw out what I think it might look like. So if I were to split this into fourths, that is definitely not the middle. All right, split this into fourths. Wait, I guess that's the middle, right? I'm gonna do my best here. All right, if I split this into fourths, I like to kind of draw out an idea of what it's gonna look like. So I know that my side view is gonna look something like I'm looking at the picture here. So I know I'm gonna see that rectangle and this bottom rectangle. And then it's gonna kind of have this square shape with this circle. Well, that's not a good circle. Circle shape on top with another circle inside of it. Actually, let me take my eraser, kind of delete all that. Go get my line tool. All right, so this is just me kind of visually thinking about what it's going to look like. So it's going to look something like that. All right, dimensions are way off, but that'll be our front view. All right, and then, or that'll be our side view, right? So this is our side view. All right, and this will be our top. So I like to just kind of visually think about it. You know, you might want to take out a piece of paper and just kind of sketch it before you get started. All right, and then when you're talking about our front view, all right, so we're gonna see this big back rectangle. So I'm gonna start with that, this rectangle here. And then, you know, really we're gonna just see the two bottom parts. So it's gonna look like this and this. All right, again, dimensions aren't great, but I know my front should look something like that. And then my top, well, top looking down, I'm gonna see this part. So it'll be something like that. And then it's gonna be slanted. So I'm gonna go ahead and just draw a rectangle down, and then we're gonna slant it all the way to like right here. Okay. Then we grab this eraser. All right, again, this is our top view. And I think I'm missing one little rectangle. All right, so before I ever start, actually I drew that going the wrong way. It should be going this way, right? So before I start, I like to visualize where I'm headed. All right, so now I know that my view should look like this. Now I just need to use the dimensions. So we're gonna do that, all right? So we're gonna start with the side view, all right? And when we're doing this, we're going to actually need to look at our dimensions. So how long this way is the drawing? Well, it's 115. All right, so I'm trying to think, what scale should I use? I don't have 115 squares going left to right, so maybe each square is 10, right? So that means that for 115, I would need 11 and a half squares, right? For 115, I need 11 and a half. So let's see if I have that. Let's see if I have 11 and a half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, I got at least 11 and a half. All right, so we're gonna use a scale of 1 block. So 1 square is equal to 10, all right? 1 square is equal to 10. All right, and what I just did is I wrote that down here in our scale. 1 square is equal to 10. All right, so I know I need 115, all right? So let me see how many squares I have across. All right, it's 5 inches and there's 4 inches in each square. So I have 20 squares going this way. And I have 3.5. So 3 times 4 is 12 plus 2. So 14. So going up and down, I have 14 squares. All right, the reason why that is important is we want to center our drawing. So if I need, let's just say I need 12 squares going left to right, and I have 20, how many is going to be on each side? Well, 20 minus 12 is 8, so I know I'm going to need 4 on each side. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so I'm just kind of putting little marks here to help me center it. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so I went 4 in on each side. So now I need to actually, 1 second, guys. All right, so I've centered it left and right. Now I need to center it top to bottom. So how tall is my drawing going up and down? Well, it's 60, all right? So up and down, this will be 60. So I know I need 6 squares. All right, so I come back here. 14 minus 6 is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4 on each side. All right, so, 14 minus 6 is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I'm going to come down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, go up 4. 3, 4. All right, so that's going to be the boundary for my drawing. And at this point, now I can do the 11 and a half. So I know that it's going to start here. All right, we're going to start it here, and I need 11 and a half this way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and a half. So I count over 11 and a half, and I draw a straight line. All right, we're going to do something called dimensioning on these. So I'm actually, as I'm going, I'm going to add the dimensions to the drawing. So this was 1, 1, 5. All right. So now if we go and we look back at our drawing, I know that I need to go 6 up. So on this side, I'm going to go 6 up. And look, I've already marked where 6 is. So I just need to draw a line up. And now that I've drawn that line up, I can go in here and dimension it. I'm going to grab an eraser. I think I'm going to grab an eraser. All right, so now I'm going to erase that boundary. All right, I'm going to leave the other ones for now. So I need to draw another dimension here. And that dimension is 60. All right, so at this point, if you look back at what we did, guys, like when we planned this out, we have the bottom piece here and this piece here, so now we need to come in. All right, so to do that, we got to come in 12, which will be 1.2 squares. All right, 12 is 1.2 squares. So I need to come in here, and I'm at like half a square. So I know that the other half is going to be 1 square, and then I just need a little more. All right, and we're going to go ahead and connect that like so. And you can call this, when you dimension it, this is going to be 12. All right, so I'm going to quickly look at my drawing. And what I see is that actually this right here is also 12. So I want to draw that line in and dimension it. So I go in here. All right, this is where I am. I need to go up 1 and then a little bit for that 2. So go up 12. Now I'm going to throw a dimension on it. So that's 12. All right, so the question is now, how far in do I go and how far down? All right, we're working on that L shape. All right, working on the L shape here, this L shape. So I know that this part here is 50. All right, the big circle's 50. So that means that from this point here, let's see if I can draw on this. Draw. Beautiful. Can I zoom? Oh, it doesn't let me zoom though. But from this point here up is 25, right? 25. And then I know that this is 23. So that means we need 48 high. All right, so this is going to go up to 48 high. All right, which means that this right here is 48. So I'm going to switch back to my drawing. Honestly, what you could also do is if we draw a straight line across here. All right, notice what I'm doing. I'm drawing it real light. And then I'm going to go here and draw this one real light. All right. Drawing that real light and that real light. So now I can go back in and darken these where they cross. So I'm going to darken it there. All right, so sorry guys, I'm back. So like I was saying, you draw light lines, and then once we figure out where they connect, we can actually go in here and connect them, right? So we had 12 there, and then now this should be 48, but we're gonna deal with that in a second. All right, so at this point, we need to start working on this, and we know that it's 23 high, all right? 23 high. So go back into my drawing, and 23, well, if you remember, right, we've already used 2 here, so that means that this means that at the halfway point here is our other 3. All right, so we want to go halfway here. We're halfway there, and then we need 1 full block and another full block. So at this point right here, is going to be that's going to be the 23 right there. All right, so now I can figure out how wide this is. So if I go back here, all right, I'm going to go back so it's bigger. All right, so we did our 23 up. Now how far across is, well, the diameter is 50, so that means that we need to go 5 squares over. So I'm going to take my ruler, I'm going to mark off 5 squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to mark that 23 spot, and I'm going to go straight down. All right, double check, that's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Beautiful. All right, so at this point, we know that this is 50 this way. So the center of our circle, right? So the center of our circle that we're going to have to make is in line halfway through. So if I come in 2.5, that's the center of our circle right there. And I know that because this is 50, that the top of this is only 25 because it's the radius. So I need to go up half and then 2 more squares to here. All right, so that'll be the top of our circle. And now guys, we're not using compasses yet. So what you just have to do is kind of sketch in the circle from that top point. All right, sketch in that circle from that top point. All right, just slowly kind of sketch it in. And then you're going to take your pencil after and then go over it and darken it. See, and you know you did it right if that lines up. All right, if that lines up, you know you did it right. All right, so this inner circle here is 25. All right, so we know that on each side, the diameter is 25, so the radius is half of 25, which is 12.5. All right, 12.5. So I know that I come over 1 full square gives me 10, and then I need a little bit more for that 12.5. I come over 1 full circle, 1 full square gives me 10, and then a little bit more. All right, so now we're going to do the same thing. We have that point and that point. Now we need to make the other 2. All right, we come 1 full square and a little more. We come 1 full square and a little more. And now we just start connecting. All right, so you just very kind of lightly draw an arc, draw an arc, draw an arc, draw an arc. All right, later on I'm going to make sure everybody has a compass, and I'm going to show you how to use a compass, and we're going to do this the correct way to get our perfect circles. All right, so but for now, just kind of trace it in until it's a good looking circle. So at this point, we need to go back and add our dimensions. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go here. All right, and this was 50 diameter. So we actually use a circle symbol with a line through it and then write 50. Okay, this right here was 23, right? It was 23 up. And then what we can do is we can actually draw a line out here and say that that is diameter 25. All right, so one thing I did forget is the way the view is going to look, that's actually going to be a solid line all the way down. All right, so if you go back and look at when we did our paint at the beginning, we said that that was going to be solid. So we're pretty much done with this view. Now we just got to work on the front. All right, got to work on that front view. All right, so we're going to do the same thing. Guys, all these squares are the same. So I know that it's going to be 14 and 20 is the size of this. So we need to look at our drawing and see what our front view is going to be. So we're going to take a look at the front. Well, the width of the front is 60, right? 60, right? It's going to be 60 wide. So that means that if I have 20 squares here, 20 squares across, I subtract 6 and get 14, so I need 7 on each side. So I'm going to count in 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, then I should have 6 in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, so I know I did it right. All right, now I got to find my vertical boundaries. So we go back. How tall is it? Well, it's 60 again. Okay, that's going to 6 more squares. Except this time it's 14 tall. So 14 minus 6 is 8. 14 minus 6 is 8. And then 8 divided by 2 is 4, so I just need to come down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. So those are my boundaries. All right, so let's think about what it's going to look like again. So I come in here. Okay, it's going to look like that. So I know I'm going to just have a rectangle. So what I can do is just go ahead and draw these in since I know it's going to be a rectangle. Oh, I went one too many up. So be careful when you're doing that. I took my eye off of it for a second. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and draw this one. And I'm going to draw this one. And I'm going to draw this one in. All right, and I can go ahead and label these, or not label, dimension. All right. So pretty cool, right? One thing you'll notice, guys, is look. It pretty much lines up, right? Our bottom lines up and our top lines up. All right, see, they're lined up. All right. So that's the power of having these multi-views, is once we have one of the views done, we can kind of infer from that view certain things. For instance, we know that we're going to see, all right, let's take a look back at our paint. All right, our paint, we know we're going to see this little piece. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and draw a light line. So I'm going to come here. All right, and based off our side view, I'm going to draw in a very light line across, because I know eventually I'm going to need to draw that piece in after I draw this one. All right, so next thing we need to do is find the width of this. So it is 20 wide, which is 2 squares. So we come in here and we count over 2, and we draw that straight up. And then guess what? We have that light line we just drew. All right, so again, I'm going to line up with my side view here, and then I'm going to draw in that light line a little heavier, and I can come in here and do that. Cool, right? So what dimensions do I need to add? Well, I need to add this is 20. We just figured that out. This is 20. All right, and then the height of this one is 12. So because that 12 is already on this view, we don't have to put it on this one. So you only have to fill in dimensions for things that are missing. All right, so we're done with that. Now we're gonna move on to our top view. All right, we got one last view. So let's remind ourselves what our top view might look like. Okay, it's gonna look like this. Cool. So we're just gonna start by drawing this back piece. All right, so how long is that back piece? Well, it's 115, right? So we need to do our center, and then we need to draw that 115. So it's going to be very similar to this. Let's say we're going to need 12, right? We have 20 squares across, 12 again, so four on each side. 2, 3, 4. All right, then 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and then vertically, how tall is this going to be? Well, it's going to be 60 again. All right, it's going to be 60 again. If you look up here, 60. So we need to do 14 minus 6, which is 8. So we need 4 on each side. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 1, 2, 4. All right, so that'll be our top boundary. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bottom boundary. All right, so at this point, we can go ahead and mark this because we know that this back line is going to be all the way across. All right, we saw that. All right, we saw that at the beginning when we looked at our paint. We knew that we needed this full back line drawn. Oh, excuse me guys, it should only be a half, right? So we marked off for 12, but we have 115. All right, sorry about that. All right, 115, so it's only 11 and a half in. All right, we want to be accurate here. 11 and a half in, so that's our 115. Okay, now how far down does this side go? Well, let's take a look back at this. All right, so that's 6, it goes down 6. Well, we've already marked off 6 here because of our boundaries. All right, so if you set the center boundaries of where you want your drawing centered, it kind of speeds things up. All right, what about this side? Let's take a look. What is the width of this? Well, it's 20, so we just need 2. So we're going to come down 2 to there. Right? And now, if we're looking at this, we're actually going to draw in this line. Let me pull this up. We're going to draw in this line right here. All right, so to draw in that line, we just play a little game of connect the dots here. That wasn't the world's greatest line, but for now it'll do. All right. And the last little thing we have to do is add in this little, well, actually we have 2 more parts, don't we? All right, so we need to add in this piece, which is 12, and then we're gonna have to add this, the length of this. So let's do this 12 first. All right, so it means we wanna come over 1.2, so we do a full square and then a little bit, full square and a little bit. So I actually messed up, and I'm just not realizing it. So this line actually should be all the way down here and then connected right here. All right, sorry guys, little bit rusty. So that means that this line is not quite correct. So before we had drawn that diagonal, we should have drawn, all right, so I hope you've got a good eraser. We should have drawn in that piece, because now this makes a little more sense, all right? So erase what we did with that diagonal, and then you're gonna need to redraw it. All right, finally, this last part, we need to draw this piece in. So if we take a look, we see that the diameter is 50, so we know we're gonna go out 5 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna mark that. All right, it's gonna be to there, because it's too wide, right? It's 20, which is 2 squares. All right, and at this point, our drawing is pretty much done, other than some minor dimensioning that we need to take care of. So we're gonna go in here and go in here and take care of these. So that was 20. Okay. Again, this one here is 60. And this right here is 50. But remember, it's a circle, so we got to include our diameter symbol. All right, so here's the thing. We need to actually include hidden lines for that circle. So if we take a look at our picture, this circle is actually visible on the view for the front and also the top. All right, the nice thing about this is we can use our side view to help us with this. All right, so you're gonna just find the circle, and then when we do this, we do hidden lines because you don't actually see it, but you need to indicate that it's there. So hidden lines are dashed lines. So you're gonna come into your drawing and just include some dashed lines. All right, we also have to include the center point. So again, find the center, and you're gonna draw a nice little plus. All right, now we're gonna do the same thing here. We know that this is 5, so we need 2.5, 1, 2, right here. So that'll be our center point at 2.5. 2.5, we'll draw our plus. And now, all right, this is 25 inside of there. So we need to go 12.5, so 1 and a little bit and 1 and a little bit. And then we got to do dash lines because it's hidden. Dash lines because it's hidden. All right. And now we can dimension this here and here. All right, and I'm not going to dimension it there because it's already, that 25 is dimensioned there and there. But at this point, we're done with our drawing. What I always like to do at the very end is go in and just clean up any of the extra marks that I have in here that I was using. I think that was all. You know, I'm going to erase this 14 and this 20. All right, so at this point, my isometric or my orthographic drawing is complete. I have my top view, my front view, and my side view. Everything is accurately dimensioned. And if you look at the one that we were shooting to go for, they look very, very, very similar. All right. So guys, that's it for our first orthographic drawing. I know it took a little bit, but hopefully next time you'll already have the title block made so we can skip that. And then we will move on with our next drawing next time. All right, as always, if you've got any questions, leave them in the comments, and hope you have a great one.